Alright guys, here it is. eBay Pro Painted Slanesh Fiend out of print. We're about to rescue this poor little guy. Let me show you guys some of the washes I like to use. Army Painter, Quick Shade, these are the best in the game. These are some of my go-tos. We'll be using these in different various orders, but these are definitely the staples of my day-to-day in the Beats Lab. Alright, we just got some dark tone, some red tone mixed up in this ancient Chinese technique, this bottle lid right here. We're going to mix it up. Obviously, you can use some Quick Shade mixing medium if you want, but you don't need it, but I prefer it. So we got a little red and a little black, basically. And we're just going to spread it out all over all this amazing Pro Painted. I know you guys are like, hey, Kenny, what are you doing? That's an amazing paint job. Why are you fucking with it? You're going to ruin it. I know. It's the best I can do on short notice, though. So we're going to kind of fake paint this model right here. We're going to treat it as the base colors. As it stands, this model is about 3 color minimum. We're going to take it to the tabletop. Tabletop standard, at least. So the trick here is we're just going to push that wash everywhere. Make sure it gets good coverage, helps blend some of this together. We're not even going to repair some of the chips on this model. We'll do that in the highlighting phase. So there's literally chips where you can see the metal still. I don't care. So this wash is going to find its way into all the details, all the recesses, of which there are almost none because this model has almost no detail. OG as fuck. Making it look its best. You can see where it's pulling up in some of the calf muscles, blah, blah, blah. All right, switching to the busy in the Beats Lab mode. We're going to grab some of that Army Painter spray paint. We're using Chaos Red. We just primed that Elrik's Hobby Florida Lead base, and now we're going to dip right into some Mephiston Red, and we're going to do some airbrushing. Airbrush flow improver always. Now what we're doing here, guys, is while the wash on that Fiend is drying, we're going to be painting this base because he needs a fresh new base. So we're just going to mix a little bit of Mephiston Red directly into the airbrush, stir it up, get some gangster gumbo activated, some backflow technique right here. We're going to pull the needle out, prime to pump, get it flowing. All right, here's our base. Chaos Red spray paint. We're going to just bang a quick little highlight off the edge, make it interesting, get ourselves a fresh transition all day, every day. Just a few swipes with that Mephiston Red, and look how amazing it already looks. That easy. We're not even thinking about light or anything. We're just cutting it in from left to right, creating a fun border. We're leaving some of the Chaos Red engaged, but not all of it. It's all good. The cool thing here is that red will work for all our needs. Now we're going to grab some Evil Suns. We're going to dump what's in the pot. Just a little bit of dirty paint water when we're done here. Boom. Hobo sink. There it is. A little bit more flow improver. Grab some of that Evil Suns. Create a highlight. Now, the reason this red works so good for this base is we're going to be painting browns in on the gravel. We're doing a red tile. So red, this is just keeping it fast, keeping it easy. Rather than prime it gray, then paint it red, then highlight everything, we're skipping a few steps. Now we're going to enter into our next highlight phase. A little bit Evil Suns, got a little orange in it because that's what makes it Evil Suns. Looks fantastic. Too easy. Looking over at our Fiend is still drying, so we're going to go for another highlight. We're going to quickly rinse the pot out, add a little bit more highlight. We're going to use some Troll Slayer Orange, a little bit more flow improver. We're going to let that Troll Slayer Orange mingle with whatever red is still in the pot. It's going to be real thin, just barely some on our paintbrush and all that flow improver. Backflow technique. And now we're just going to spritz on a little bit of that orange, almost as a glaze. And it's going to brighten up the edge just a little bit without actually turning it into an orange. It's just going to kind of brighten that red. Pow. Keep it icy with that transition. That's what I love about the airbrushes. You get fresh transitions, makes things interesting. All right, we're going to dig into our paint bin, Secret Weapon Miniatures, Old Mud, and Dust. So we're going to grab that Old Mud, and we're going to use that as the base color for the gravel. And we're going to paint this right over that red. We're not even going to use water or anything. Raw dog. Grab a big brush. Just start doing your thug thizzle. Too easy. Now we'll switch real quick to a smaller brush, a more detailed brush as we get closer to that tile. We don't want this shitty brush I just grabbed out of my water cup to fuck it up, get frayed, and sling some of that brown onto the red. So now we're going to cut it in with a little bit more care. We're keeping it thick for maximum coverage, but these Secret Weapon miniature paints are kind of thin out of the bottle anyway. Too easy. Smoothing it out, making it look good. I love this new fleur-de-lis base pattern from Elrik. They got a whole line of these. ElriksHobbies.com is coming in clutch. All right, feeling that. Now this needs to dry. So we got some weathered wood. This is one of the best colors that Secret Weapon Miniatures makes. And we're gonna do a quick light glaze right here, probably 1 or 2 coats. And we're gonna try to cut in all the design work on the base with this off-white. This is definitely one of the best white colors. Sort of, it's not quite white. That's what makes it awesome. We're just gonna trace it in, sketch in the fleur-de-lis pattern, all those little quick ridges. We're gonna keep the paint kind of thin, rely on a second coat if we need to. Looking real good so far. We got more to do though. We're gonna have to re-tighten up those edges anywhere we get some of that white on the red. It's no big deal because we do have a highlight phase with the brush, so we'll use that phase to cut in any of these, you know, stray brush strokes. No big deal. And since it's a base, you can move kind of fast and you can be kind of aggressive because there's going to be a model taking up most of that base, covering up any of your mistakes, and it is terrain, essentially. It can be a little aggressive. There we go. These designs are looking amazing. Getting all them second coats in, final passes, making that weathered wood look its best. Okay, now we're going to grab our small paintbrush and we're going to dig in, grab some more Evil Sun Scarlet, and we're just going to start sketching out some edge highlights. This is just basically tracing. Hold the base in your hand. Just drag the brush across any hard edge and let the line form. We're thinning the paint down so that it will dry, be a little bit less aggressive, a little bit less vibrant, but it allows us to go a little faster. Now, this technique, like I said, can be a little aggressive on a base. And we're just gonna keep digging in there, grabbing more, cutting these edges, helps create a nice, like, sharp, cracked edge. It's really important on the outer edge to also hit that. We've added a little Troll Slayer Orange into the mix. Give ourselves an extra highlight right there. It's looking fabulous. Look how nice that is. That's a good looking red. Take a billion seconds to do that with a paintbrush. All right, now we're gonna just drag some of this dust color in. We're not dry brushing yet. We're just kind of dragging it over the top. Building it up. We're gonna leave some of that other old mud intact. Now we're gonna grab first gray on our desk. It doesn't matter what the gray is. Anything will do. I think this is somber gray from Vallejo because it was right there. And we're going to just cut in some of the details on these rocks, creating another level of dimension on this base. Like I said, we're taking this 3-color minimum eBay Pro Painter model, and we're going to take it to tabletop standard minimum. And a lot of that technique is going to be based on this base. Now we're going to take some of that somber gray, and we're going to start tracing in some highlights on the weathered wood. Look how fun that is. Same thing on the fleur-de-lis. We're going to sketch in some shadows on one side, making it look kind of 3-dimensional, making it look real interesting. Definitely kicks it up a notch. Don't worry if you get out of the lines here. You have, literally doesn't matter once we put the model on here, you're not going to see half of those. Looking real good. All right. Solid work. So now we're going to take some wash now that all that mud is dried. And this is just whatever, you know, dark tone, brown tone, whatever. Like I said, the staples of the shades from Army Painter, I use them all. So now we're going on real aggressive here with barely any quick shade mixing medium. Okay, back to weathered wood. We're going to work on our Fiend. Now we're going to do a little bit of a glaze technique, and we're just going to thin that weathered wood down, show you how diverse, how applicable it is. And we're just going to highlight anything we can. We're doing all this while that wash we just applied dries, staying busy in the beats lab. We are thinning down the paint substantially and giving ourselves a nice highlight. Anywhere that the wash has settled away from and left a raised area, we're basically tracing that area, reinforcing the highlight, giving ourselves definitely a solid improvement over where this model was a second ago, but we're not going to linger on any one detail. We're taking it to that tabletop quality. Definitely beyond 3 color minimum. Sketching them in, tops of these legs. You see there's an interesting division there in the musculature. We're just tracing those raised areas to accentuate it. Same thing on their hands. Just go back and forth, keep it loose. You're going to want to keep it on the glaze spectrum here. That'll help it blend in better. Now we're going to do everything you just saw us do, but on the reds, using a little Evil Sun Scarlet. Keeping it kind of glazed, like I said. We're just tracing in around those raised areas on that chitin armor. I don't know what that serrated back scorpion armor is. We're just trying to accentuate everything that's still a little brighter after the wash. We're making it even brighter. All right, now I'm going to show you an ancient Chinese technique. We're going to use a little bit of flesh tone right here, pale flesh from Vallejo, mix it in with the red, and we're going to highlight this red totally different than we highlighted the base. Bonus, multiple ways to highlight red. One of the oldest techniques in the book is to use a flesh tone to highlight your red. Gives you a completely different appearance than just using bright red and orange. It's more organic, which I think works for this model. Now we're doing some aggressive highlighting here, some hyper highlighting technique. Just not even worried about blending these colors in. We're just letting it be aggressive because we will use a wash to go back in those recesses, and it will smooth the whole situation out. Too easy. Doesn't take about a few minutes to lock in all these highlights. Just tracing. And you can decide how aggressive you want to go with it. All right, here's the wash. We just went back to our wash that we had already laid out that had a little red and a little dark tone in it. And we're just very lightly using light brush pressure, cutting back in the dark areas and adding contrast. See, contrast, you can make dark areas darker and make light areas light, but you can also go back and make, any area even lighter or any area even darker. All right, now that that base is dry, we're dry brushing a little bit of that light dust on it and a little bit of weathered wood. All from this video. We're using like the same 5 colors. That base is looking on point. ElriksHobbies.com did a great job here. Okay, we've mounted him to the base, and now we're using some Gamer's Grass Generation 2 Tufts of Grass self-adhesive right here. We're just putting a little bit of extra add-ons here. Now I'm going to show you a cool thing I like to do. Green Stuff World, Autumn Leaves, Secret Weapon Miniatures, Realistic Water. I basically used the realistic water effect as glue because it's crystal clear. And we can kind of just mix it into like a little slurry here and just drag the autumn leaves around, go back and forth between the water effect. You can leave the water effect gloss if you want and have the leaves look wet, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let the water effect dry and cure, and then I'm going to use a matte varnish, matte it back down so it's not shiny, but I know it's going to be crystal clear. That's why I like it. And it's going to lock those leaves in. They're never going to come off this base. That's the problem when you use Elmer's glue. They start falling off over the years. Here we go. This is our tabletop quality right here. Take a look and compare it to our eBay Pro Painted. I feel like we did it. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Play on, players.